Tummy Talk.
Hi everybody. This next one is called How I Became a Blank. I want you to fill in the blank. Okay? So do it in the comments down below. How I became a what? What do you think? What do you think of when I read this story? I first went to China in 2002. I was in Chengdu and was walking down the street when I saw this plant outside a door whose windows were covered. As I walked by, I couldn't believe what I saw. I turned around and walked back to examine this plant. Yes, it was a marijuana plant in full bud, right beside a busy street in China. A woman popped her head out from the door as I was walking by. She seemed to be waving me to come back. I was so freaked out by seeing a budding pot plant on the street in China, I just kept walking. I was too afraid to go back. Turned out this was Paul and Dave's oasis, soon to become Dave's oasis, when Paul, an artist who was a little bit crazy, as I did see, pulled out of his business. Dave was a cool Chinese guy and a friend of mine. It was an afternoon in 2007. I sat alone at a small table in Dave's Oasis, the first backpacker bar in Chengdu. Of course, a hangout for foreigners, when I heard a voice say, "He is number one." Seemed to be directed at me. So I lifted my head to see a table full of black males. The alpha male was at the head of the table, and all other 10 eyes watched him keenly. "He is number one," the alpha repeated, pointing at me. I became confused. I didn't know what he was talking about. I quietly said, "Yay," as I lifted my hands in the air like I won a race. But I didn't realize what kind of race I had won. "How many girlfriends do you have?" Alpha asked. 2, I guess." You see, he said quickly as his subordinates looked on. "How many, how much, etc., etc." His questions went on, and after I replied, he gave his very best, you see. It took a while to understand exactly what this man was talking about, like a few months. Then it dawned on me one day why a black African man was calling me number one. It seems the race I had won was the human race. That I was number one because I was a white man. Blue eyes, I had curly hair back then too. I was right on top of the food chain there. I had never thought like this before in my life. There was never any racial superiority discussed when I was growing up. I felt naive. I felt really stupid. I never thought one race being better than the other, but since then, it's 2021, and I abhor political correctness. I see a great divide growing between people, the left and the right. I'm older and more bitter than I had ever been. Things are so bent that all I see is a gray area. Sometimes I'm so full of anger, I can't see anything at all. I get confused. I'm maxing out my excesses. Sometimes I have to pull myself back from it because I don't want to. I don't want to. So, fill in the blank. What do you think the blank should be? How I became a what? Thank you. Always remember, no child deserves a useless parent. Feed, clothe, house, and educate your child well, or I'm going to give you such a slap!
time.